Direct Connection is made by MPT to serve all of our diverse communities and is made possible by the generous support of our members. Thank you. Live from Maryland Public Television, this is Direct Connection with Jeff Salkin.
Hi, everybody, and thanks for tuning in for Direct Connection. Later in the program, is the bankruptcy code an answer for struggling homeowners? We will find out what the law allows. That is coming up. First, tonight, the relationship between our health and our diets, and can food act as a kind of medicine? Joining us is Dr. Gerard Mullin, Johns Hopkins Hospital Division of Gastroenterology and Hepatology. Doctor, thanks for being with us.
Oh, thank you for the invitation.
Is medicine as a whole starting to look at this differently, do you think?
I think there's been a movement over the last 20 or 30 years where people are coming to understand that natural medicine and returning to nature is a better brand of medicine than perhaps just inundating themselves with magic bullets in the form of prescription medicine. So yes, we're seeing a real paradigm shift in medicine these days.
We're always looking for magic bullets, and some people see the magic bullets in types of food. I'm thinking of whatever it is in red wine that's supposed to be maybe good for your heart if you live in France or something like that.
Right, resveratrol.
And is there legitimate research behind it? I mean, should we be having a glass of red wine?
Very much so. There's many studies showing that a glass of red wine is cardioprotective.
How about two of them?
Two of them? Well, you know, it's protective of your mood, I guess.
So, but our tendency is to think, or maybe the way the medical profession has worked, is, all right, there's a substance there, we can go find it, extract it, make more of it, turn it into pills, and sell it to everybody.
Yeah, but the magic bullet philosophy is really not really doing us well as a nation. And, you know, even you can have that philosophy with herbs, and we call it green pharmacy because you're substituting herbs with medicine and medicine with herbs. So the idea here is to have it in its most natural form, and you can't beat whole foods.
I want to come back to some of the things in our diets that might be hurting us, but in terms of some things that are potentially beneficial in that universe of herbs and green things, what stands out?
Well, for me, you mentioned resveratrol. You know, it's cardioprotective. We think of foods such as oat bran, it lowers cholesterol. So we think of those kind of foods as being on the front lines, the things that help protect the heart. And there's many foods that help protect the gut as well. I mean, there's different areas of our body that, you know, for antioxidants that help with Alzheimer's and inflammation, we can eat really specifically to help treat ourselves and prevent disease.
There was something about curry as well.
Oh yeah, curry, yeah, specifically as an antioxidant, anti-cancer, and helps with a number of different gut disorders and inflammatory disorders. So even curry seems to be another thing that we need to study in the future.
For people out there with specific conditions, I mean, so many people have diabetes. Is there anything in the food universe that they should look at?
Well, you have to look at what not to eat as well with diabetes for glucose control. Certainly we see a lot of high fructose corn syrup in today's processed food, so processed food should be out. If you're diabetic, you should be on a whole foods, whole grain diet, so you have good glycemic control. So you have to look at the glycemic load in your foods. And cinnamon and other, certainly, you know, herbs can help control your glucose. So it's a really good approach if you have a basic whole foods diet for a number of different diseases.
High fructose corn syrup has been in the news a lot.
Oh, yeah.
What is that? I mean, you'll see on a product label that something has corn syrup and high fructose corn syrup.
Well, as it implies, it's loaded with fructose, and that's going to really bounce your glycemic index, and it's going to drive your insulin to be high, and that's what leads people to have diabetes and fatty liver and all kinds of diseases.
And it's in the product because it tastes good and it's cheap to make, I guess.
Very cheap.
Yeah. Let me remind our viewers, if you have a question about the foods you eat or maybe the foods you should be eating, give us a call. We'll have the number on the screen. You can also email us by visiting our website at mpt.org. What comes to mind if I ask you for like the world's worst processed food? If you could go through the local supermarket and knock out one food or one category of foods, what would it be?
Well, you have to say that the snacks like the cakes and the, you know, not to have a name brand product, but if one's going to have, well, you know, Hostess and Twinkies and things like that. You're going to have trans fats and saturated fats, and a nice recipe for cancer.
Is it possible that somebody could spend their whole life eating nothing but Twinkies and Pop-Tarts and live to 100?
Like George Burns, who smoked until he...
So there are
possible
exceptions,
with the right genes, and we're learning how much the nutrition affects the genes and how the genes can be really, you know, protective and in terms of dictating our health outcomes.
Just think of it, you know, over time, the life expectancies have gone up and processed foods have gone up. If you put them on the same chart, you wonder if people would think that somehow it's good for you.
I think technology has been helpful for longevity, as well as, you know, antibiotics in the early phases of treating diseases early. But, you know, we can do better by, you know, reverting back to nature and having a basic whole foods diet.
Let's get to the phones. Elizabeth in Anne Arundel County, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Oh, I wanted to know about the anti-inflammatory properties of turmeric versus curry.
Okay, thanks very much.
Yes, well, turmeric, again, you're looking at curry, and turmeric is derived from curry. And these are spices that have been used in the Eastern Indian culture for many years, where you don't see so much digestive disease as you would see, let's say, in this part of the country. And these are things that you can add to your cooking, and for people with certain conditions, you can take in the form of a supplement.
Can you overdose? Can you do too much of that? If you have a certain condition and read that whatever the spice or the substance is supposed to be beneficial, and eat nothing but that, you know, do you run into trouble?
You could certainly irritate your gut if you have too much ginger or curry, but again, you have the option of taking supplements. You could have the option of putting in your foods, and certainly there's certain herbs that can affect your liver, so you really have to be well schooled if you're going to take higher doses of these herbs, and really be counseled by a healthcare professional who's well educated in the field of nutrition.
I'll come back to that. Patricia, Montgomery County. Patricia, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Hello?
You're on.
Oh, hi. This is Patricia, and I've recently been diagnosed with mastocytic enterocolitis, and I wanted to know what are the treatment recommendations for such a diagnosis.
Could you repeat the diagnosis again?
Mastocytic enterocolitis.
Well, it sounds like it could be a mast cell disorder, which is our allergy cells that affect the gut.
Yes.
And generally that can be difficult to treat. So you have to identify potential allergens, food allergens in particular, and then there's different medications that kind of calm down the mast cell, like cromolyn and ketotofen and things that really can calm those allergic mast cells down. And you know, food, we talk about food as medicine, and you look at food as poison when it's an allergen and can kick up those mast cells. So you have to go through a process where you can identify those allergens and eliminate them from your diet.
I have to ask, what did you have for lunch today?
Who, me? Well,
well,
I had some salad, and I had a chicken sandwich with broccoli rabe.
All right. Well, you look well nourished. I'm just wanted to make sure you didn't go through the drive-through somewhere.
Who, me? No. No.
Last time you did that?
I can't remember.
All right. Nancy from Baltimore County. Nancy, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Yes, everyone talks about the great things in red wine. How about white wine? Does it have similar properties?
You know, unfortunately, it does not have the resveratrol as you would find in the red wines. I mean, certainly that's something I favor when I'm out or I select something to drink. Certainly the resveratrol for its cardioprotection, but you know, the benefits of just having a little white wine, you know, just to get you really, you know, to wind down certainly can't be, you know, can be beneficial, but not to the same extent as the antioxidants you would find in the resveratrol. So the answer would be no.
Where does somebody get reliable information on this stuff? I mean, the internet, obviously, there's some good information, but it's buried in a lot of questionable stuff. And before you go radically changing your diet, you want to know what you're doing.
I think it's always good to see a very educated practitioner, like a nutritionist, a dietitian, who's trained and certified to counsel people on how to eat. And I work with an excellent one at Johns Hopkins. Her name is Kasha Kynes, and you know, she's one of the most outstanding ones that I've worked with over my career.
John from Baltimore County. John, thanks for calling. Go ahead.
Good evening.
Hi.
I have a couple of questions. One, I've been hearing that there was a study done by Johns Hopkins regarding the benefits of asparagus as far as being possibly a cancer-fighting product. And also, I'm wondering just what does the doctor mean by whole foods? And thirdly, is there any concern about using plastics in a microwave?
All right, John, thanks very much. Let's start. When you say whole foods, you're not talking about the chain.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
I'm talking about fresh fruits and vegetables as a staple for our diet. Michael Pollan wrote about this in many of his books. He even has a little bit of a food guide in his latest book, Food Rules. So I would, if I were in your position, I would pick up Food Rules, and there's a lot of different good tips for you as a consumer and a healthcare advocate to really read about how you can improve yourself with these whole foods, the fresh fruits and vegetables and whole grains, things that are on the outside of the food store and outside of the aisles, not in the center, right? Things that are fresh when you go to your local markets that we have, and things that you would find there. And it certainly wouldn't be the Twinkies and the cakes, and those are all processed foods, so you wouldn't want to do that. Regarding the plastics, there is evidence that certain plastics do leach into your food, and you have to be very careful in how you approach that with microwaving. So,
right.
Yeah.
Let's take another call. JD from Montgomery County. JD, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Thank you for taking my call. I recently met with my cardiologist who gave me a BMI score of 40, which, if I understand it correctly, makes me 60% fat-free, and the other 4 out of 10 cells are fat. And my question to you is, how do I reverse the curse, and how about items like Metamucil for toxic clean-out, or spinach, or oatmeal, or salad, if that would be a good regimen, or just a straight diet, the South Beach diet. Any thoughts, anything to turn and reverse this curse, because I'm really stressed out by it.
JD, good luck to you. Thanks for the call.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. You have to have courage and hope that this can be reversed, and it's a very complicated strategy of counseling, food counseling. These programs have a little psychological counseling, how to go on diet, but Opran would be a very good start for you, and because that can lower your cholesterol and prevent your risk for cardiac disease. And I would, encourage him to go into a weight reduction diet, into a weight management center.
Do we talk about green tea? A lot of people drink green tea.
No, not yet.
Why is that better than
No.
Lipton tea?
Well, there you go. Right. I mean, green tea can help you with weight reduction.
How so?
Thermogenics. It helps speed up your metabolism a bit. Yeah, and it's an antioxidant, as we were discussing earlier before the show. So, and it's cardioprotective and anti-cancer, and has many different benefits. So, green tea would be another thing to make a substitution for him.
I have to wonder, because periodically there'll be some scientific study that rebuts something that had been the conventional wisdom for a long period of time. Is there any chance that 20 years from now somebody finds that green tea has been bad for us somehow?
That I don't see, but you'll always find perhaps that in the one study that shows it's bad, there'll be several others that shows that it's good, but it's the one bad study that'll get the press, right, that can't be reproduced. And years later you look back and you say, well, it wasn't done correctly. So you have to really give it the test of time before you start refuting how a natural product is not good for you.
Is there anything in the conventional wisdom that's wrong? Where, I mean, you're saying stay away from processed foods. We hear that from other people. Is there anything where you think the medical profession or society hasn't caught up to the research?
Well, the problem that I see is that we have direct-to-consumer advertising by pharmaceutical firms. So we're taught only pharmaceutical therapies in medical school, not nutrition or natural lifestyle or preventive medicine, and certainly the consumers are getting bombarded by the ads that say, if you feel depressed, take this. If you want to get some sleep, take this. If you feel a little bit off in your stomach, take that. So we're into this culture that we're seeing that is very magic bullet oriented, that's only prescriptive only, and yet there's abundant evidence that the foods that we eat can actually do very well by us, and that's something that is coming out through scientific evidence and through many different writings. So that's, I see hope in the future that that's the way to go.
So you're a medical doctor, though.
Absolutely.
You can either talk about nutrition and different types of food or write a prescription. When somebody comes to you with one of those issues, what do you do?
I'm integrative, and I look at the person as an individual, and I give them the best that they need. And I always try to go food as medicine first and try to help prevent them. And when they're stuck and they need help, then I consider all the options.
Let's take one more call. Bill in Montgomery County. Bill, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Hi, yes, thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
I just wanted to ask about cheese and see if the doctor could talk a little bit about some of the differences, possibly if there are any, between cow's milk cheese and sheep's milk cheese and goat's milk cheese in terms of health benefits or non-benefits, that sort of thing. If you just talk a little bit about...
Great. Bill, thank you very much.
Yes, Bill, really great question. What I see, if I had to pick a cheese, I would probably pick something from Switzerland where they actually grass feed their cows, so you get the benefits of having higher omega-3 fatty acids in the cow, so therefore in the cheese. So when Andy Weil talks about cheeses, and I subscribe to his philosophy that you would probably go with the Swiss cheese first, that's from Switzerland, or other cheeses from Switzerland. When you're looking at things that are allergic, right? Like the individual had the mast cell problem and you got to be careful of food allergies. I'd probably go with sheep and goat first because they tend to cause less problems in individuals than cow's milk. So those are the two rules I would think about when I think about dairy and cheeses.
You know, we could talk about this all night. Is there anything you want to leave people with?
I think there's a power in food as medicine. It's been around for centuries in different cultures, and Hippocrates, the father of medicine, subscribed to food as medicine, and so should we.
Very good. Dr. Jerry Mullin of Johns Hopkins, thanks so much for being with us.
Oh, thank you so much.
We appreciate it. Coming up, more homeowners banking on bankruptcy. We'll be right back.